Can you imagine being 25 years old and you have 25 rental properties? Today, we're going to be talking to Manan. Most important thing is how he got there. More importantly, how do you get there? Learning from what Manan has to share. 25 properties at 25 years old. Can you imagine? Well, today we have Manan in the studio, and we're going to find out exactly how he got there and what the future looks like. So, Manan, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Andrew. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Definitely awesome to be here. I'm 25-year-old. My name is Mannan Mohammed. I joined Mastery not too long ago, about 2 years ago. And here I am with 25 properties and some under contract.
Okay, cool. So kind of let's pick it up all the way very beginning, right? Exactly, man, when you're 16, 17, 18 years old, what were you thinking?
I need money.
You need money?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were pretty early on focused on, I'm going to go after money.
Correct. Yeah.
Does that come from because you come from a family of business people, your parents are kind of software professionals? What does the family structure look like?
Family structure is my parents came here in like 1994-ish.
Okay.
I don't come from any money, honestly.
Okay.
Whatever I have, I built by my own self. No parent help, no handouts, nothing.
So this is not like the Crazy Rich Asians, or in this
No.
case, the Crazy Rich Indians.
Unfortunately.
Right,
If that was the case, honestly, I don't think I would be here. So I'm kind of blessed to kind of come from nothing.
Okay, got it. But somewhere that got into you that, hey, I need to do something and I need to do it early on.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So at 18, 19 years old, I mean, when everybody's going to college, did you go that route or what route did you take?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was pretty good with my education. Like, I followed everything. I graduated not too long ago and everything, so I got my degree and all that. So, yeah.
What did you get your degree in?
It's called Information Decision Sciences. It's basically a fancy word for consulting.
For consulting. Okay, got it. And now you did kind of something interesting, right? Because you're barely 25. Yeah. So when, so what was your first job?
First job was at working at IKEA.
IKEA, okay. Yeah. So you work at IKEA and then you got to door dashing at some point?
No, then I switched over to working at a bank as a teller.
Okay.
And that's where I kind of realized like this 9-to-5 thing is just not worth it because my manager was really, a piece of work of art.
Okay.
And from then on, like I went into, reselling shoes and stuff like that. It was pretty big around that time.
So you're basically doing the whole resale of shoes?
Yeah, yeah.
Does that work, man?
It used to. That's why, what I'm wearing is...
So this is supposed to be cool.
Yeah. This is like $600.
Get the hell out of here. That thing you're wearing, the baggy looking thing, is $600?
Yeah, it's Supreme, yeah.
Dude, he walks in looking like in India, we would call this, hey, man, what kind of Joker dress do you have on? Right? I mean, like, what the hell? Yeah, right? But I guess I'm clearly old, and I don't understand the new thing. But that's, like, cool.
Yeah, I like streetwear, so that's what I prefer.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
comfortable.
Tells you what I know. So basically, you're kind of doing the shoe thing. You're basically being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right? And how did that work? Did that work for you?
It worked pretty well for the most part. Then it got saturated just like any other business. And then I was like, I was always like thinking one step ahead. I was like, what am I going to do after this? At the moment, I didn't really have much. And that's when I kind of let go. When COVID started, that's when I kind of let go of TCF. And then I started door dashing because it was making me way more money than the bank, unfortunately, around that time. And then on, we started the COVID clinic, kind of got pretty lucky with that, knowing the right people. And like I said before, like the next step, the next
So
step.
Basically, so you're doing door dashing, right? Now, obviously, during COVID, that was making decent money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And how did you get the money for the COVID clinic?
So I basically saved up every penny that I had from door dashing.
Okay.
I didn't really live a lavish lifestyle or anything like that.
Were you living with your parents?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And reason I ask that is a lot of times, right, and I mean this sincerely, right, guys, if you're fortunate enough where you're young, right, you have parents, especially old school, they want you to live with them, maybe let go of the chasing women thing for just a little bit. I'm not saying, right, I get it especially with men, right? Everybody wants to be cool, live independently. But sometimes, if you're strategic, literally 2-3 years at a young age, you can have fund the rest of your life, right? And hope I'm not saying debauchery, but I'm just saying that you could literally, and sometimes, people are like, well, why would I live at home? And guess what, man? You get free food. You don't have to pay rent, right? And save the money. I'm not saying go buy fancy cars, go do stupid things, but you got to be strategic early on. Correct. Because it's like one of those things. Like if you're going to pay now, or you're going to pay later.
Correct.
Right? You're going to pay. Life is going to extract a price out of you. So the question is, when do you decide to pay? Exactly. And the earlier you pay, the more fun you can have rest of your life, right? So you get into COVID clinics. With those COVID clinics, man, it was pretty sweet.
It was
right?
definitely sweet.
Man, I could have made so much money. My God. I didn't. But anyways.
The thing is, the COVID clinics were awesome and everything. But the only thing is I kind of got in a little bit late, and that's when the whole government started cracking down and all this other stuff. But we were doing everything legitimate. But at the end of the day, it didn't make crazy amount of money. But it made enough for me to be like, hey, I can get into something else with this type of money that I never had in my life.
So let me ask you this, because some of these guys, they made a lot of money with the COVID clinics. What kind of money are we talking about?
We're talking like 300 million.
300 million? Right? There's a guy that, you know who I'm talking about, right? Yeah. 300 million with COVID clinics. How many clinics did you had?
I think he had them nationwide.
Really?
There was at least 4 or 5 of them that are the same thing. And
wow. Wow. So this is not just $20-30 million. This is really they were macking it big time.
If you can search it up, I'm not even lying. It's probably way over 300 million.
Really? Yeah. They made, I know a lot of people got into it, right? People were not the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree, but guess what? They were at the right place. No, and especially nowadays, right? If you're at the right place, right time, it happens.
Yeah.
So obviously the COVID clinic came to an end, right? And then what was your transition like into real estate?
So I kind of saw the future of COVID coming slowly down. People are not getting tested no more like that. So then I was like, hey, what can I invest my money into next? I wanted to really open up a trucking company business, but I just couldn't really I needed a business partner. And I didn't
hold
find
on.
one.
You have obviously Indian parents, right? The whole mentality is super conservative in general,
correct.
Right? It's like, what are you doing? Yeah. What is wrong with you? Look at other person. He became a doctor. Yeah. How come you don't become a doctor? Did you face kind of that kind of thing?
Just a tad bit. In terms of what college I went to, because I went to UIC. They wanted me to go to
that's not good enough, right?
Yeah.
You got to go to Northwestern. You got to go somewhere good.
But right? I paid for my college tuition, everything, every penny of it, and I didn't have any handouts or any loans, and that's why I feel like I had to pay. Everything was strategic. Got it. So to answer your question, the reason why I got into real estate is because I didn't see any other business that could potentially make me enough money for my lifestyle. So that's when I was friends with Farah's son, right. And he kind of said he got a house, and to me I'm like, this headphone kid got a house, right. So then that's how I kind of got introduced to it.
And not to like you're talking about not Suleiman, you're talking about the older one.
No, I'm talking about Suleiman.
Oh, I'm talking about Suleiman. Okay.
Yeah. Suleiman's a very bright kid. So that's
no. Suleiman is, man, listen, and all the kudos to Suleiman, right? I remember having arguments about this. I'm like, why wouldn't this guy go get a job, right? But it's and I realized, something, I was wrong, right? I said this to Farah. I'm like, listen, I was wrong from a standpoint that it's different today, right? I wish I have a 20-year I'm 20 years older than you, right? How we did things versus what is possible today, it's night and day.
Correct.
Today, for you to be at 25, 27, 26 and be a multimillionaire, it's possible.
Yeah.
Right?
So possible,
you go back, rewind the clock back 20 years ago, that was unheard of. Unheard unless you won a lottery, right? Or unless you were Bill Gates. It just didn't happen. Correct. And today there are more options, more possibilities than there have ever been.
100%.
Right? And so obviously, Sulman's mom, right, Farah, she's from Mastery. So she's doing a bunch of houses. He's doing his internet, I don't know what he was doing, servers or whatever he was doing, right? Had the mods and all this stuff. And he goes out and basically he has a bunch of money saved up. And he gives his mom a loan while living in the basement. Right? No, this is great, right?
Yeah.
This is, I genuinely, you have to kind of give it to the kid that he's living at home, mooching off mom, right? Buying his own computers and all this shit. But you have to give it to the guy, right? That the beauty of it is he did not go out and spend his money.
Yeah,
I mean, and 100% kudos to him that, and then takes the money, gives it to his mom. His mom helps him obviously go out and buy a house.
Correct, yeah.
But you look at that, and this son of a gun never gets out of the house.
Yeah, correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the hell he does, but clearly so far it's worked out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no.
So you see that and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, so I mean, I was just like, where'd you get the money from? Like, how did it happen and whatnot? And then I kind of got more into it, and more questions been asked. And he's like, oh, there's a lender involved, X, Y, Z. And then that's how like me and 3 other people that were pretty close to someone joined Mastery at the same time.
Right. It was you, your cousin, your friend,
no,
or
it was for us cousins. Basically.
for us cousins. Okay, so 2 or 3 of you guys, cousins, all joined Mastery.
Yeah, correct.
Good. So now let me ask you this, man, because this is kind of curious to me. That Farah is your first cousin, right, or second cousin, something like that,
No,
right?
it's Abdul's.
Oh, Abdul's cousin. Okay. But she's in Mastery. Most people would be like, oh my God, this thing is expensive.
No, 100%.
Right? I'm not going to join some sort of a mentorship coaching program. I'm going to just basically get it from my aunt or whatever the case may be, cousin,
100%.
right? Why did you not take that approach, and why did you actually come and join?
So I was very big on risk taking. Truth be told, I bought the gold membership without even knowing anything about them. I didn't even know who you were.
Okay,
I just bought it.
Okay.
I was like, hey, here's the check. Here you go.
But was there like okay, if she's saying something, it won't be a BS?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a joke if you have that many properties, and, I don't think a person like that would lie to me. So,
Right.
I was like, might as well give it a shot. And at that point, I was so eager to get into something else, I didn't mind risking into it.
Got it. Okay. So you come to us, right? And I'm anything, I do not like risk. I do not like risk at all. And I genuinely believe this, that yes, we always hear about the stories of, and even people listening to your thing, right? They're like, oh my God, yeah, that's what I'm going to do and go crazy. And they're going to bomb.
Yeah,
they're going to bomb. And the reason is not because there's anything wrong with real estate. The reason is statistically, out of every 10,000 people that start and do risky things, one of them will succeed.
Yeah,
Right? This is just the truth. But if you're strategic, over a period of 2, 3, 4 years, you can become super successful.
100%.
Right? Rather than just taking crazy chances. So, and you've seen this in real estate. You've seen this blow up for a lot of people that go take just stupid risks.
Yeah.
Right? So, Manan, you came to the 3-day event that we do.
Correct.
And what happened?
Well, when I sat there on the second row, I was like, oh, it might be some, white guy, Andrew Holmes. And when I saw you, I was like, who the hell is this? I was like, I'm done here. But, sitting through the 3-day, that's when I knew, like, I was in the right spot.
When you came in, were you open to the ideas, thoughts that I was trying to suggest to you?
Yeah, 100%, because everything to me was so new. Like, when I came to the 3-day, like, I didn't even take anything. I just, like, wrote down everything you said. Like, every opportunity that was given to me from life, from when it comes to reselling, work, everything, I just did it to the max.
Okay.
Like, all efforts in. And I wouldn't do like 2, 3 things at the same time. It would just be one thing, focus on it, and make it as best as you possibly can.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So let's kind of go to your first property. Property number 1.
Yes.
At the time, when we're talking about money, right? What kind of money were you starting with? Your own money.
Probably like 180K.
180K, right? I mean, it's pretty good, more than a lot of people, but that's not a lot of money, right? Not. So it's not like you had all kinds of money to waste when you got started, right? So you have that money. How did you buy your property number 1, and where was it?
First property was in Calumet City. It was funded through Mr. Halani.
No, Mr. Halani funded. So private money loan from Mastery.
Yep.
Okay. And what did you borrow from him?
First initial was 160, I believe.
160. Okay. Yeah. And this was the 2 properties together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
So this is, you bought it from a wholesaler. Blake was a wholesaler. 2 properties on one lot, right next to each other.
Correct.
And each of them were 2 units each?
Well, no, there were basically it's 2 units on one pin. So
2 units on one pin.
Single family houses on one pin.
Okay, 2 single family houses, 1 pin.
Yeah.
Right? Now, mind you, I saw the property after you bought it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I was not happy. I was not happy at all. Right? You got them cheap relatively, obviously at the time, but they're kind of strange to say the least. Right? Yeah. They make a lot of money after it's all said and done, but you went through a little bit of a bloodbath.
Yeah, I mean, everything that can go wrong in the deal went wrong.
Okay, got it. So what happened in that deal?
Well, number one, we trusted the wrong GC.
Right.
His estimate was 70, so we borrowed the money based off his estimate. And then during that, we had pipe burst. We had the garage collapsing. We had a tree fall on the power lines, which, when there's no sump pump with electricity, then it floods. Then that happened, and then our GC just took 4 months to just even start the project. Once that happened,
So the typical stuff that happens to people
Yeah.
that are kind of brand new, you put your trust in somebody that they're going to do the right thing.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, at that time, right, you had somebody that you were working with
Yeah.
as a partner.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, man, this is too much for me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? I quit. Right? So, I mean, are you like dumb or are you just that stubborn headed that you're not going to give up on something? Why didn't you just call it quits?
Well, it was because it was like my name on the line.
Okay.
We have, Farah's cousins on the line and Farah's name on the line here.
Yeah.
It was more about reputation over anything. I feel like in the line of business that we're in any business, your word and who you are as a person matters no matter what.
Okay.
So based on that, I just was like, you know what, screw it. Like I need to get this deal done no matter what. And hopefully, the next one is better. So that's why I personally dumped almost 80K into it.
Of your own money.
Yeah,
On top of the private money you had borrowed.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, expensive lesson to say the least.
100%.
Right? Yeah. So, okay. So in the property at this point, somewhere around 240, 250.
Yeah.
Right? Got the property done finally.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
Honestly, it took 11 months.
11 months. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is the part that people, yeah. He just got, right? What did it appraise out at?
385.
385. Yeah. Right? You bought it for 105. You dumped almost, 120?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
About 120, 130 into it,
yeah.
right? Part of it was from private money. Part of it was from your own cash.
Correct.
Now you go back and you do a takeout loan after an appraisal of 375?
385.
385. Okay. So people will look at that, well, even I could do this. No, you couldn't get to the first part.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everybody wants to be a champion. They're just not willing to pay the price that it takes and the heartache and the frustration tears it takes.
Correct.
Right?
The other thing that happened which was very risky, and I just, I was like, damn it, I might have to throw money at it, is we got an appraisal done before we even did the project. We came in at 200K.
Before the project.
Before the project.
Okay.
And I was just like, screw, I'm screwed here technically, because now I have to bring so much money to the closing table to refinance out. But luckily, when the property was done, the rents were high up and all rented out, it came out pretty decent.
Got it. What's the cash flow on that property?
Right now it's 1560.
1560. Yeah. Now, that property I would call it a CC minus neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you have A, affluent, B is kind of right next to it, C is challenging, and C minus is a little bit more challenging, and then D is a disaster.
Correct.
Right? That's not a disaster, but certainly C minus. Yeah. Now, how many flips have you done so far?
So far completed 6.
6 flips completed so far.
Yeah.
And in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
What is your average time for the time you forget about the first one? That's obviously you can be excused on that one. That's your learning, right? What's your general average whenever you're doing a flip in terms of time you buy, time you sell?
Well, it kind of depends on the market at the time and also how long it takes to sell.
Sure.
But in terms of what I can control, in terms of when I buy it, the day I buy it, the house is emptied out, whatever trash and everything. So I would say about turnaround time, depending on how many square foot the house is, I would say no more than like 6 weeks tops.
Okay. But so you're on it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're not messing around with the house. Now, a lot of people, you did this on your first one, give it out to a GC and they're kind of at GC's mercy. Do you still do that?
I do that if it's like a trusted GC and I have like strict rules and paperwork and everything and how it is, and I triple check who they are and whatnot. I still do that, but very rarely.
Okay, but so you're kind of you're playing the role of the investor, right? Who finds the deal, right? Then you're playing the role of the person who manages the deal as a GC, right? And so obviously your profit is going to be higher than people who just sub it out to somebody.
Correct, 100%.
Right? And I want to get this, and this is an important point. Guys, listen, for a lot of people, if you're born with parents that have money, God bless you. Most people aren't. That's just a fact of life, right? And so for him, the journey starts at, it just happened to start early, right? The first thing you were saying, you were working at IKEA.
Yeah.
From IKEA, you go to working at a bank.
Yep.
right? From TCF Bank, you go to doing DoorDash.
Yep.
From DoorDash, you go to COVID clinics.
Yep.
From COVID clinics is to real estate.
Yeah.
So basically, for anybody that you see, there's a process and a journey. Only difference is, for a lot of people, they may stay at one place. He went from one to the next, and each time, right? You may say, you're working at a bank. You're working as a teller. I mean, what are you making? Close to minimum wage, right? Yeah, $12.50 an hour, right? But then even doing DoorDash, and that's the beauty of it today, is that's an upgrade, right? So yesterday I had an interesting conversation with this guy. He comes to RIA, and he's like, man, I'm looking up the tax records. I'm looking up all this information about distressed sellers. And, I'm making all these calls for the last 3-4 months. Nothing has happened for me. And he's like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, genuine, you could see that desperation. Young guy, like 20, 21 years old. And I'm like, listen, number one, do you have a job? He's like, well, no, I'm going to do this full time. I'm like, I get it. I'm not saying you can't. My point is, dude, go drive Uber. Yeah. He's like, are you being serious? I'm like, I'm being 110% serious. Go do DoorDash, go drive Uber. Here's the reason why. What will happen is this, that to get real estate started from scratch and you have no source of income, that is the easiest way to fail, right? If you go do something, create some income, right? Then it gives you a little bit of time and you're not so desperate all the time. Great. And emotionally, because real estate is all about emotional intelligence. The physical work is not difficult. You're not picking up a hammer. You're not doing anything. Correct. Right? You're just basically dealing with the stress. The mental part of it. Yeah. Can you kind of expound on that? Because that is probably more important than anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, it was like, hey, not only am I, I have to get married soon as well and have all this. I think having a job is definitely necessary. In my situation, it was a little different because COVID made me that. So I didn't have to work those 2-3 years to save up for that or get into real estate that way. So because of having income, and you need it. Without it, you can't refinance. A lender won't be comfortable with you. And just in case something goes down like my deal did, like no one's going to come and give you $80,000 out of nowhere, right? Yeah. So you definitely need to have a job no matter what. And I would say as long as, whatever your lifestyle is, if it's like, hey, you need $5K to live off of it, until then maybe, if not even double it.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I always feel that way, that if you're that guy that just says, oh, I'm just going to get into real estate, I do nothing, right? And this is it. I'm just going to do wholesale. So, guys, listen, I will take a bet against you. You're going to fail. And you're not going to fail because you're a bad person, because you don't work hard, because you're not willing to hustle. That's not why you're going to fail. What's going to happen is you're just going to plain run out of money. Like anything else, you're building a multi-million-dollar business, right? The income needs to come from somewhere. And my suggestion is much easier to make income. Driving Uber, go work at Starbucks, go do something. If you have a normal job, even if you hate it, keep it, right? Keep that damn job and don't quit when you get your first deal, right? Keep doing it. Once you have enough bank of reserves, once you have enough properties that come in and day out, then you gradually go to step 2. Then you will be able to have sustained success, because you're going to be that other person which is like, oh yeah, I did 2 flips and I made good money, and boom, the whole thing collapses on itself, right? Because there's just not enough cash flow coming in. Right? More critical than anything before. So you get your first property done. Yeah. What was the next thing?
At that time, we had another property under contract, so we got that one done, which was pretty good. We still the issue is, the number one key I learned is never give so many X amount of projects to one GC. That time, we gave both our projects to the same goddamn GC. So he screwed that one up. We were already under contract with him. With the other one, he started that one. That one took longer, but we didn't lose any money on that one, luckily, because it appraised out pretty well. And then I kind of realized, like, damn, I'm making $800 off of this property. Like, I just need 10 of these, Right. Like, so then I just kind of got addicted. But around that time, my partner then, we just kind of separated our own ways because he went back to the 9-to-5 world. I stayed into it.
Right. But at that time, did you have any second thoughts?
I did, but I just saw so much success around the people that I was in. I was like, there's no way a person like me who's working this hard can fail. I just got to keep trying.
Right.
So,
Okay. Yeah, because I mean that's a tough thing, right?
Yeah.
You guys are friends. Are you guys related or are you guys friends?
No, we're friends.
You guys are friends.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was like, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? Sometimes it's not the appropriate time. Is finishing college also, like a lot of other things. So there's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes we associate failure with, oh my God. Guys, listen, you can have a job, do extremely well. Right? I mean, if that's what you do, that's who you are. Or you can be an entrepreneur and do extremely well. You gotta have a set game plan, right? Yeah. Doesn't matter what the hell you do. And so when did you realize that, hey, I'm gonna have to do some flips?
I kind of realized that because I got some of these deals that came in. The numbers, cash flow wise, just didn't make any sense to me because the taxes of Cook County is ridiculous. So my first deal in Chicago Heights that I had, when I bought it was $4,000. By the time I was trying to refinance, it was like 7.5, and my cash
$7,500.
Yeah, my cash flow was $200. I'm like, if I flip it, I'll make 40. So basically, I just got rid of it, and I was like, all right, maybe I might need to do a little bit more. So I kind of liked your model of 2, rentals and 1 flip type of thing, but I only wanted to do rentals,
right?
Right. But because of it, since since I'm doing such a volume of properties at a time, when it comes to showing proof of funds to lenders or to refinance, you kind of need that.
Need to do some flips, right?
Correct.
And so the idea behind that is that it's all fine. Oh, I'm going to build a cash flow for life, the whole thing that we talk about, right? 100%. But guys, listen, just like we said, you need some income. Right? Because you can't just rely, especially in your early years. I mean, for you've been barely doing real estate for how long?
I mean, my first property was bought in November, so basically 2 years.
2 years, barely 2 years, right? Not even 2 years complete yet,
correct.
right? And so you got to do some flips because what it does is it gives you that injection of capital, right? And now you have some money to live on. You're not just living on your cash flow income or on your income coming from your jobs, right? So that becomes nice cash flow injections. That becomes money that you can show in your bank account that comes in from flips. And what flips helps you do is you get better at rehabbing properties. You get better in a hurry because flips are not that forgiving, right? But if you just do flips, you're never going to build wealth, right?
It's impossible.
So on an average on a flip, 6 flips you've done so far, right? You have any in progress?
Yeah, I got 2 in progress.
2 in progress, 2 flips in progress. Okay, so on 6 flips, what is the average you're making per property, ballpark?
Since Cook County raised their taxes after every 3 years, I kind of got a hit from some of those, but it's ranging from 35 to 70.
35 to 70, right? But pretty consistent in that. So average out, say 45 or so per flip. Now, what is the average size of a property that you flip?
About 1,800.
1,800 square feet. So you're kind of in between that 1,200 to about 2,000 and nothing bigger.
No.
Okay.
Bigger,
And rehab-wise on these properties, how long is it taking you from beginning to end?
Well, it depends on the project, but I mean, I have an in-house plumber electrician. That's the only reason why I'm able to kind of, do it. If I need permits, then I reach out to Sam.
Sure.
But I would say about 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks.
6 to 7 weeks. Okay, got it. So you're going to the same plumber all the time, same electrician all the time, right? And so with the plumber, you know the plumber, I know the plumber, right? And even though on the whole they can be good guys, but it's not like you don't have fights. It's not like you don't have arguments, right? This is course of doing business, right?
Sure.
Let's just understand, right? That doesn't matter if you're a small rehabber, a big rehabber, whatever, guys. This is just what it is, right? If you're gonna basically do anything, this is everyday business that he's running to 10 jobs, your jobs are going to get behind, then you're going to be, hey man, what the hell is going on? This is kind of how it is, right? So today you have how many actual rentals?
So right now, I actually just came from 2 of my showings that I do my personal ones. So right now I would say 23 fully rented out.
Okay.
The other 2 are under progress.
Under progress. Okay. So you have 2 flips in under progress, 2 more new rentals that are coming that are basically you're setting up right now. Okay. So with 23 settled properties, right? What kind of cash flow are we talking about?
I'm going through 1 eviction.
Okay.
It's actually the third of a property I bought. It was a decent tenant at the time, but right now with that included, I would say about 14K.
14K a month net.
Yeah,
Net. Right? Guys, at 25 years old, 14,000 a month. You do the math. right? At 10 months, that's going to be 140,000. Add another 28 to it, right? So, I mean, it's $170,000 you're making just from rental income. Now, a lot of people who are not there, that, dude, if I had that kind of money, man, I'd be traveling the world, I'd be on the beaches, right? And that's not how real people build a business, right? I mean, this is just a start because this is barely enough money where do you have to worry about things? No, but this is just the foundation,
for sure.
right? This is a foundation. Someone like you, by the time you're 30, 35, right, you need to be at minimum at 60, 70,000 in net cash flow income, right? Because that's easily possible for you,
100%.
right? You have time on your side, right? I mean, hell, you have 20 some years up on me. And I bought my first rental property when I was 35, right? Yeah. I mean, that's ancient by your standards, right? But I mean, literally, think about it, right? And that gives you a tremendous amount of time, right? To basically build a bloody fortune like most people will never realize.
Correct.
Right? I mean, you could make 2 million, 3 million a year just from rental income.
Yeah.
Right? And that's very doable. And a lot of times people are like, oh, you have to buy big multifamilies. Okay. Why not?
Well, because it depends on the property as well. You know, I mean, gradually you would want to go to multifamily. Sure. It is a little bit more money, but more headaches underneath one roof. You know? But I mean, I would say having a single family houses, and when I do all new plumbing, electrical, and stuff like that, I don't get these calls.
Right.
So based on that, I would say multifamily is just more so the next step for me personally. Sure. That's how I would want to put it as. But single family is just a little bit better for me, so I can sell maybe later on down the road if the taxes get too high. Selling a multifamily will be a little bit challenging because the pool of buyers is way less.
Right. And again, with multifamily, it's all about numbers. Yeah. Right. Correct. So let's kind of work through a property. Sure. Right. That what is a good property by your standards, and you use kind of the mastery standards. Yeah. Right. So just pick a property.
Sure.
Right. What location?
We can do Dalton.
Dalton. Okay. So Dalton, A, B, C, or D suburb?
D.
You call it a D?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a D suburb. Yeah. What are the challenges in Dalton?
The challenges is probably the permits.
The permits are okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely challenging there. They don't use state laws for like codes and stuff like that, so it's a little easy on that end. The other challenges is
what about the pool of tenants?
They're a little bit tough because they're all Section 8.
Okay,
you know?
all Section 8s.
All Section 8.
How about, what would you call the community? C minus, D community?
I would say it's a C minus community.
C minus community. Yeah. Okay, so basically it's a community where it's bread and butter housing.
Yeah.
Right? And if this is south suburbs of Chicago, right? It's not south side.
Mm-hmm. No.
South side, for people who are not familiar with the city, that's the city of Chicago. The south part of it is called South Side.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas the south suburbs are basically outside of Chicago, and there is a big difference, right? I mean, people from outside don't realize how drastic a difference Chicago has, right? No, nobody, unless you're in real estate, and that's just what it is, right? North side of Chicago, northwest side, west side, southwest suburbs have nothing to do with, and so depending on where you're investing, there are going to be different challenges, and there is different ways of making money. It's not like one is right or one is wrong. But then, if you're buying in these areas, you better have good equity.
Yeah, 100%.
You better have phenomenal cash flow, because otherwise,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth
really
it, right?
Worth it.
So in Dalton, right, on this property you talk about, what was the buy price?
So the buy price was $74,000.
$74,000. Yeah. Rehab?
About 60.
About 60. Yeah. So you're all in for about 130.
Yeah, but I have carrying costs and stuff.
You're carrying costs.
So I borrowed 150 in total.
Okay, 150. Okay. And then what was your back end?
230.
230 was your back end, right? So you're 150 all in, and then 230 was your back end.
Correct.
And what kind of rent do you get?
So the house was a 3-bedroom,
right?
1.5 bath.
Okay.
I made it into a 5-bedroom, 2 full bath.
Okay. So you went from 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath to a 5-bedroom,
just 2 bath. Yeah.
2 bath. Okay. Yeah. So basically you're doing like the KBB, which we call it kitchen, bedroom, bath.
Yeah.
Right? Is just, I mean, that's the secret, right? Kitchen, bedroom, bath. Because that's what people value, right? They're going to look in the kitchen. Oh my God, it's nice,
Yeah.
right? Bedrooms, how many bedroom you got? Because who's your pool of tenants?
They're Section 8.
Section 8.
It's
right?
all by voucher number, like the bedroom number.
Right. Bedroom number for vouchers, that's what dictates that.
exactly.
And in that property, did you finish the basement?
I did.
Okay. Because that adds value in that particular location.
It did, but like on the appraisal end, it didn't add too much.
Right.
I was kind of annoyed about. 'Cause
But
I
it
did drain tiles
adds
and
value not on the appraisal end, but it does add value on the rental end.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I somehow snuck a whole bedroom in there and whatnot. But
Okay.
I finished it because of that reason. I even did drain tiles because of it.
Okay.
So property was a home run deal. I think my rehab wasn't as much. I was around like basically when everything's said and done, I kind of with the cash flow and cash out refi, I walked away with like $15K.
Okay.
Which I think that's a home run deal.
Okay. Got it. So now, and it depends on who you are, what your investor type is, right? Today, I would not buy a property like that. I would want the property in an A suburb, B suburb. But that's just me. From Manan, from where he's starting out, it makes sense. Over time, he's going to start upgrading the quality of the
That's what I'm
portfolio.
doing right now,
Right?
yeah.
Okay, exactly. Because when you're starting out, it's okay, right? I mean, think about your first used car. As long as it's reliable, as long as it did the job, you're really happy just to get a car. Then you're like, no, man, I want something newer, nicer, right? Then you're like, I want a fancier car. Like for you, it's a Tesla, right? I have to say this. You just got married,
Yep.
right? So congratulations.
Thank you.
And he comes to me and he's like, hey, man, can I borrow the Ferrari? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, you can borrow the Ferrari. It comes back. Oh, kept it for a week.
Yeah.
Right? Comes back, gives it back. He's like, it's not quite as fast as the Tesla. I'm like, so I got a question. Right? I'm like, is anybody taking pictures of your Tesla? I'm like, that's true. Right? Today, probably so even some of the Ferraris are not going to be as fast as Tesla. But is somebody taking pictures of your Tesla? Right? A Ferrari is a Ferrari. A Tesla, everybody else has it. Right? So I just wanted to rub that in. Right?
No, I mean definitely. You
Right?
know, it's motivation.
Motivation,
Yeah,
right. So where do you go from here? Right? What's the game plan moving forward?
So for my next year's goals, based because I have a solid team right now, I want to be able to purchase and like rehab and refinance rental only 20 properties.
20 properties next year.
Yeah.
So to get 20 properties finished in next year, you got to kind of start prepping now.
Yeah.
Right? To going into the next year, you need to have some inventory.
Correct.
So that it's getting rehabbed, it's rented out, because the main rental months in a market like Chicago are February, March, April, May, June.
Correct.
July. That's it. Right? That's the best months to do rentals.
Correct.
So you're going to have to basically ramp up.
I do, but at the same time, I really don't because Section 8 is all throughout.
Okay,
People are in and out no matter what. No people are getting approved and whatnot. The way I do it is, I don't know if a lot of investors do it. Let's say right now, for example, I have 2 projects going on right now. I know when I'm going to refi. I reuse those loans. I have 2 under contract.
Okay.
So as soon as the money gets back to lenders, I buy those 2.
Okay.
Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That's I'm able to do it.
Okay.
If it really comes down to it, then I really use my own personal funds too.
Got it. So in the 23 properties you already have settled right now, how much of your own money do you have out of pocket?
Well, honestly, some of these cash out refis probably made me money. I don't think I have anything in my properties no more.
You don't have any money out of pocket at all, right? And the cash flow money, right? So I forgot to ask you, by the way, this wedding of yours, right? You paid for it, your parents paid
No,
for
I
it.
pay for it. Every single penny.
Okay. Your wife's parents paid for hers,
Yeah.
right? Okay. But you paid for your part of it.
Correct.
For you, what did it cost you?
Right now, does it include honeymoon too?
Well, of course. If you paid for it, that includes the honeymoon.
Probably 150.
150,000. By Indian standards, man, that's cheap. By Indian standards, that's not bad, right? I mean, that's like pretty economical,
Yeah,
right?
no, for
I mean,
sure.
because Indian people go all out, right? I mean, they're like,
No, like for my wife's wedding, I mean, her dad does amazing, and they went way over me for sure.
right. But still, it costs you $150,000.
Yeah, for my age, it was pretty obviously out there. But parents are paying. Technically, they spend $500,000 easy.
Right.
So.
No, I mean that's the thing. Indian people will, ask for a discount on a donut, but when it comes to a wedding, man, right, we go all out, right? I mean, this is just a cultural thing.
Yeah, it's
right?
also how much money you have.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my God, yeah. But I mean, it's just a cultural thing, and it's funny. But it's so awesome, right?
Yeah,
that you were able, you paid for your college, you developed a business, and on top of that, right, you were able to, because you were like, hey man, I got this wedding coming up, I got this wedding coming up, I got this, right? Because I mean, that's when you're running a business, that's a lot of cash to put out.
Yeah.
Right? Just for a wedding. I mean, I say just for a wedding, but I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
Right?
No, 100%.
That it's just at the end of the day, guests come, eat, blah, blah, blah. But I think it was great because you rented a helicopter for the arrival. So it was cool. Not only did he get a picture in front of the arrival, the whole thing. So we got another picture in front of the Rolls, the Ferrari, and the helicopter, right? It was cool as hell.
Yeah,
So it was kind of fun. So for your wife, right? Her parents do good for themselves, right? They worked hard. They built a business. From what I know, is how bought in is she on this crazy thing?
She supports it, but she doesn't like the fact that how I work all the time, basically. I basically work like 13 hours a day because paperwork wise.
Right.
Sometimes, like recently, I've been complaining to her, like, I haven't had too much work. So she's like, oh, isn't this a good thing? But I feel like I'm missing something at this point.
You're not doing enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, since she works full time and I'm working, it doesn't really hinder us too much.
Okay, got it. But I mean, because a lot of times, right, you need that spouse that understands, right? That understands, especially with the real estate, because it's a mental game at the end of the day.
100%.
Okay. So as far as finding properties, you're finding properties from wholesalers, off market, MLS. Where are you finding properties?
All three of them.
All three
of them. I mean, it just depends. I don't really look on MLS anymore, but I used to before I got busy, every hour it would be a religious thing for me, 6 to 7 p.m., 1 hour on the MLS, looking at some new deals and whatnot. But right now it's more so wholesalers and a couple off markets, stuff like that.
Got it. Okay. So wholesalers, off market, you're willing to do that. Okay. As far as for people that kind of will listen to this, hear this, what would you say to them? Because, man, today there are more younger guys, right, that are 19, 20 years old that are like gung-ho, right? They want to get started. They're fired up. They're excited about it. What do you say to them?
I would say consistency. In any business, the beginning is like terrible. I mean, if you get lucky, then fine. But you just have to stick it out no matter what. And your word matters over any type of money amount, no matter what. So if you give your word, don't go back on it, because then you have no reputation and stuff like that. And that's how I kind of feel like if I didn't care so much for this, I wouldn't have dropped the 80,000. Be like, screw this, whatever.
Right.
And then the lender would get screwed over. And then everyone's name would get tarnished at that point.
Right.
So I feel like that and consistency and set goals, not realistic goals, not some crazy goals.
Right.
Like even for me, I'm saying 20 next year. If I get to 15, I'll be happy with it.
No, I mean, it's like, man, listen, it doesn't like year and a half, 2 years ago, I said, hey, I'm going to buy 50 Airbnbs, right? I'm only at 27, 28, right? And it's okay, right? Not that I'm saying I'm happy about it, but I was going to get it all done in 1 year. Guess what? It didn't happen because some of the properties were not the best fit. They were better as rentals, regular rentals, so I don't count that, right? And so it's like, doesn't matter what the goal is, right? But there needs to be something you're striving for. It's okay. I mean, it's better to just say, hey, I fell short. I only did 10, 12. But guess what? You're much farther ahead rather than trying to push for 20, 30 and end up with a disaster.
Exactly.
So this whole concept of buying a property, rehabbing it, refinancing it, right? We call it 257.
Yeah.
2 years, 5 properties, have them paid on for 7. Other people may call it BRRRR, right? Why do you think more people don't do that? Because the biggest complaint I hear, Andrew, you don't understand. I can't find a property. I'm like, all of Chicagoland, you can't find one deal. Why do you think more people don't do that?
I mean, finding deals is more so like, spending time networking with people, wholesalers and whatnot. I get calls from wholesalers that I've never met before in my life. They just know me from other people. And they're like, hey, we heard you, close quick. Here you go. Here's this deal. Would be phenomenal deals. And honestly, most of the deals I've been buying right now, not a single person knows who this wholesaler is.
Right.
But they're out of state, some random people. Like for most people, like quick cash, like flips. Flips is cool and all, I would say my strategy basically is to kind of go off of that question is rentals. I don't really try to touch my rental money at all because, if, roof collapsed or something, I need to replace it. I basically live off of the flip money and the rental money I don't touch. And then I'm trying to get to a point where you guys are at basically where 100K is the goal.
Net a month.
Net a month.
Net a month from rental properties.
Just rentals.
Right? So And that to me is very doable, right? I mean, it's funny because used to be like initially when Rahul started, our deal was, man, one day, dude, you're gonna have 5,000 a month. I'm gonna have 5,000 a month, right? I mean, it was like, I was like, dude, that's $60,000, right? It was unheard of.
Correct.
Unheard of. And today, people are at 20, 30, 40, and they're like, man, I'm already at 20. Damn, shit, I can get to 50, no problem. I know I can do that.
Exactly.
100 is a stretch. But now a bunch of people are close to the 45, 50, right? 60 a month. Then they're like, man, the next obvious point is 100 a month, right? And that's very doable, right? It's just consistency of effort. But there's something in business and in success, it's called repetitious boredom, meaning by the time something becomes boring,
Easy.
that's the time you gotta just, you just gotta basically press hard, right? And you just have to go all out at that time because that's when most people quit.
Correct.
They're like, oh, I'm gonna go find something exciting. No. When the time it becomes boring, that's when you just got to press hard because now it becomes easy. Right?
Yeah.
And you can do good numbers and you can do it in high volume and really take it to the next level.
No, I feel like I'm at that boredom right now.
Right.
And right now I'm just like buying as much as I can. The properties I have right now that's under construction and everything, 5 months ago, I was like, oh my, I'm so stressed. Right now I'm not stressed at all because like I know I can do it.
Right.
But the end goal is the reason why I want to get to the 100K is not just to get to 100K. It's because I want to pay off my houses.
Right.
So by the fifth year, the goal is to make 100K a month. That way, every other month, I'm just paying off these houses, and all it is just me collecting.
Right. And a lot of times, I know you listen to a lot of, especially nowadays, YouTube. You listen to the Grant Cardones of the world, a lot of those kind of people. And guys, listen, it's great. Right? You say, oh, yeah, why would you pay it off? That's stupid. Middle class people, poor people do that shit. Guys, listen, there is nothing like being in your 30s, being in your 40s, and having, what is retirement, right? What is freedom? It's one thing. It's having enough cash so that you can buy your time back.
Correct.
And then the next stage is having enough cash flow that comes in without you running on a treadmill, because now you just not only bought your time back, you bought your life back, right? Which for 99.999% Americans is not possible until they're in 60s and 70s. And still, right, they can't have the time to go travel, to pursue your passions, whatever it is. Somebody wise once said, they said, when you're young, travel far, right? When you're old, stay near because you can't travel far, right? And it's so true, that adage, that if you can at a younger age afford to be in a position where you are really liquid, right? It opens up so many possibilities that now you can go and try a couple different things while the thing that makes you the most money is working.
Correct.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So today, for new people, that watch this, what would you say to them?
I mean, like I said, like you always have to be hungry no matter what. Like I just said, like I was getting a little bit boring, but I just can't because like you got to keep, and also your circle of people you hang out with is so important. I feel like not a lot of people talk about that. You need to be in a room full of people that is way better than you. Without that, you're not going to get any type of motivation to move forward or keep going. But if you're really about something, let's say if you want to start real estate, like be about it 100%. Don't do half this, half that. Or if something fails, don't say, oh, it's not working. It's working for me or it's working for him. Why wouldn't it work for you?
Right.
It's that simple. So I would just say just don't give up and just be in the right rooms and connect and, keep moving.
Guys, having said that, this has been awesome with Manan. So 25 deals at 25 years old. This has been absolutely phenomenal. You're watching Cashflow For Life with Andrew Holmes. And make sure you like, share, subscribe to be the next person. Like it up. You want to be there? You want to buy a lot of properties? See, a lot of people have theories. We've got properties. You want properties? Go to andrewholmesrealestate.com, register, sign up for the upcoming events. A lot of them are 100% free. Talk to you soon.